All right, guys, what's going on? We're here for another episode of Armbars and Suplexes. I am your host, Alec Miller. You can find me on Twitter right here at AlecMiller0423. What's going on, Jesus?
What's going on, man? You can find me at the Real Jesus. That's spelled Jeezus on Twitter, on the Twitter sphere.
Yes, and we have a lot to talk about today. A lot's been going on in the world, not just in the world of wrestling and MMA, but also just in the world in general. So, for those who don't know, the coronavirus has it's a worldwide pandemic now, which means that it's all around the world. The entire world has been infected, basically. Uh, and I'm not sick, I promise. I just got the allergies.
I don't know, man. Can you transfer it via StreamYard? Because if so, man, I gotta put a mask on or something, dude.
Nah, I don't think so. Not this time. But so yeah, there's a lot going on. A lot has been affected because of this coronavirus. So I was one. If y'all didn't see the fight campaign, I was one kind of downplaying this whole thing. I was like, hey, it's not that bad. Don't worry about it. It's gonna pass over. It's gonna blow over. It'll be not a big deal. All of a sudden, everyone's catching this thing. I wake up on Tuesday I think it was either Tuesday or Wednesday, to my girlfriend upset because they canceled the rodeo. Because she was supposed to be going to see Lizzo yesterday.
Oh man.
So she was upset about that, and I was like, oh, that's when I was like, oh shit, like this is real. Like a lot of things are canceling. The NBA canceling.
I think just real quick, man. I think the NBA canceling was kind of the big domino that started everything, really. But yeah, man, like you said, everything's canceling. NBA, MLB has been postponed. NHL's postponed. I mean, everything right now is on hold. Every sporting event pretty much is on hold right now.
Yeah,
with one exception.
Oh, go ahead.
The UFC.
The UFC said, screw it. Wrestling too. WWE also.
They're saying, look, man, we're fighters. You know, put us in the octagon with the coronavirus, man. We'll knock it out. That's what we're about.
Yeah, wrestling too. WWE says we're just gonna go with empty arenas. So yesterday they did it at the Performance Center over there in Tampa. We had Triple H on commentary, which is kind of cool. I guess because he didn't have anything to do, so he's like, "Hey, I'll go on commentary." I'm already. He spends a lot of time at the Performance Center because that's where NXT's at. So SmackDown took place there, which was actually not bad. I think it kind of helped. It's different, but they also weren't trying to like play to the crowd. If you get what I'm saying, they're not like in a sport that you're trying to play to the crowd. They did not do that. They even just did a replay of the tag team elimination chamber from this past weekend. Just replayed the whole match, so it's like they're able to do certain things, I guess, because maybe some people couldn't travel. Like Paige was supposed to make her return yesterday, but she couldn't get to the Performance Center because of traveling restrictions and all that. So a lot of crazy stuff. I know Raw might be taking place in an empty arena, and it seems like because Vince will not cancel WrestleMania, it looks like that the city of Tampa is going to have to cancel WrestleMania because that's what the word going around is right now, that they might be canceling it. So, which is crazy. Just wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, man. Hold on. I'm trying to fix my screensaver settings real quick, man, because it keeps blacking out real quick. But yeah, man. I mean, I think that's a. Let me real quick. I think that's something to talk about real quick too, man. Like, so for example, here in Houston, the rodeo canceled, like you mentioned. But if you saw the release, the rodeo was very careful to say that they didn't cancel it. That the city of Houston and the county and Health and Human Services, basically shut them down. And that's a big thing because one, it frees them from liability so that they don't have to refund people's money pretty much. Mm-hmm. And two, it frees them from liability in a contract with each performers. I don't know how the rodeo is because they've been around for so long and they have so much, clout and respect that I don't know if they're paying all their performers up front. They might be. I doubt it. They probably, if I'm not mistaken, from what I've seen, they probably pay them, half upon signing and then half after their event. which makes sense, that so they don't have to pay out all that cash because they have top tier performers which are getting paid, a crap ton of money. So that if they were to cancel it themselves, they still be responsible to pay them the rest of their money. But if they get canceled by the city or the county, whatever, then they don't have liability. And they say, "Hey, we were trying to do it, but they force our hand."
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of what these places like WWE too as well is trying to do, is forcing the city like Tampa to shut it down themselves, so that they don't have the liability and they can say, "Hey, we were trying to have the show and just be precautious." the county stepped in and said, "No, you can't hold this event right now."
Yeah, I think you might be giving Vince a little too much credit because don't forget he also continued a pay-per-view after Owen Hart fell to his death. So I think more along the lines of he just wants the money, like it's business.
I mean that's a little bit different too, though. Like at that point, that's in the middle of
could have canceled it though. So that's a good reason to cancel.
But did people know he was dead though, or was it like
not the fans? But Vince, I think Jim Ross said it on the telecast. Owen Hart died.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, because he had gotten it in his ear that Owen Hart died, and I mean, how do you keep that to yourself?
But but the fans still didn't know in the arena, right?
I guess not in the arena.
Oh, that's the difference, man. That's the difference.
I just saying, like, you're giving Vince a little too much credit there.
I like to see the best in people, man. I like to give them the benefit of the doubt, man.
That's your prerogative. So yeah, we're getting a bunch of stuff that's getting canceled, and it does really suck because like this is going away from like sports and all that. Just thinking about the people that depend on these events, like people that work these events, or in case of us in Houston, the rodeo, all the people that perform, not the performers, but the actual like contestants, like that depend on that money. Like they probably take that into account for that's a big part of their money for the year, and unfortunately that's gone. I know there's people. I know people that were talking on some podcasts that have friends that work like South by Southwest and work different events, Coachella and all that they make a lot of money, and they expect to make like a month's rent in a weekend, so they could take care of that because of that. And now that's gone. So now they have to find a new way to make that money back, which is just, it really sucks, man. There's a lot of people being affected by this. And
yeah. And speaking of that, man, like all these events, there's also hourly workers, that do the concessions and clean up and all that stuff, and they're going to be affected negatively as well, because this is their job. So I saw Zion Williamson saying that he's going to donate his money to I don't know how much it was, but basically he's going to cover expenses for the hourly workers for the rest of the month of March.
I did see that,
and I think that's phenomenal on his part. However, the damn owners who are billionaires should be the ones paying their money, man. Paying that money to those staff workers, man. It's not their fault. They need the money to survive. You're a billionaire. You can afford it. I have seen a list of some that have said, I think Mark Cuban was the first one, and this is why, like,
people love Mark Cuban.
Yeah, man. Say what you will about Mark Cuban, man, but I feel that dude has a decent head on his shoulders for being, so rich. He found out on air while his team was playing that the rest of the NBA season was canceled. I mean, there's a reaction video to it. I think it's pretty cool. Second, they interviewed him, and during that interview, he specifically talked about the staff and that they were going to create some sort of program to take care of them, because he knows that these people rely on these paychecks to survive, to live and survive. So I thought that was phenomenal. I still think more owners should step up, not just in the NBA. I'll give you an example. Bellator had a big card yesterday, and they canceled it. It was canceled at the very last minute. I feel like the guys had already, I think, the fighters had already weighed in. Scott Coker canceled it, and he said that these guys are going to get paid. They're going to get all of their show money. On top of that, they might give them extra money for the fighters. Now, that's great. I mean, that's all he can control. But the venue where it was at was the Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. they're one event short now. So are their people going to get paid? Who's going to pay their people? And it's going to be, and it's continuing because, like you mentioned, South by Southwest is a huge part of Austin, and the money, like you said, people rely on it. It's gone now. It's postponed. That's fine, but you can't make up this money from March. The rodeo gone, postponed. It's a huge part of Houston and the economy in Houston gone. They only got in like, what was it, like 6 shows or something like that. Like it was a small amount compared to the whole show, because it pretty much goes through the whole month of March. That's gone. So where are we gonna make up for that deficit, man? For these people that are hourly wages, that need that money, need these events to continue. I mean, for the most part, at least Houston's on hold for 2-3 weeks. My wife is working from home for the next 3 weeks. I'm working from home for the next 3 weeks. My buddies are working from home. Like, nobody's working right now because we're all shut down. So what's gonna happen? We're just stuck in the same holding pattern, so that we don't get sick, or so that we delay the sickness. And that's the other thing too. Like, they're canceling all this stuff because they don't want people to be in big places at the same time. And it's not to stop it. I mean, they're trying to stop it, but I think they know that they can't stop it. It's just to slow it down.
Yeah, man. It's crazy, dude. Like, it's just no one. I don't think anyone was really expecting this to happen the way it's happening. No one was expecting all this stuff to get canceled and affect and really have this much of an effect. Like, I've even had to tell like friends of mine that were like upset because they can't go see one person at the rodeo. That I'm like, hey man, like this is a lot more serious than people realize. Like, it's better. It's more than just going to see someone that you want to see perform. This is about like stopping the spread. And like I was reading up on the World Health Organization and like why this is the best plan of action is because if everyone starts to catch it at the same time, even though it's not fatal to like, and only to a small demographic is it fatal. It's only to like older people or people with compromised immune systems.
Yeah.
Other than that, like you're going to be sick for a little bit and then you're going to eventually get better. But the problem is everybody getting it at the same time and needing and rushing hospitals, rushing doctors' offices, and needing whatever they need to get done, and then causing chaos. Like, that's the biggest problem, is just causing chaos. And
there's not enough beds for the sick people. So if everybody gets sick at the same time, they're gonna do what Italy's having to do. Italy's had to basically make decisions on who has a better chance at survival, and that's the person we're gonna help, because we only have a certain amount of doctors and beds, and the rest of the people that have a lower chance of surviving, and they just leave them without any help because they don't have the capacity. And so that's what we're trying to avoid, that huge influx of sick people at the same time. And that's why this is happening. So I mean, we're not experts, but from what I gather, that's exactly what's happening.
And I think the canceling of stuff is going to slow down that. I'm pretty sure it's going to eventually slow down the spread and the transmission of the virus. So hopefully everything will start to like be able to pick back up a little faster than normal. Because I mean, if everyone was just kind of going around like allowing these events to happen, the spread would just continue. So I think
perfect example, man. There's a kid, I forgot somewhere, he's like on the opposite end of the country, like on Philadelphia or something. There's 2 kids that they got the coronavirus and they got tested and they were positive, and one of the kids got it from somebody that was on a cruise, and the other kid got it from, and they were trying to withhold the information, but basically he got it from an NBA player signing his autograph, and that NBA player was Rudy Gobert. So if you keep having these things where there's a lot of access points to people, and either the athlete is going to get it, or the fan is going to get it from the athlete. So it's better just to distance ourselves and have that 6-foot range where we don't touch anybody for a little while, so that we can minimize the impact on our medical professionals. One thing too, real quick, I just saw this thing come across from Bleacher Report that MLB is mulling over starting in June of this year. So that would be March, April, May, 3 months of baseball postponed due to this coronavirus. And at this point, from a fan standpoint, it sucks. I love baseball. Baseball is one of my favorite sports. I have, on this side up here, this cool little thing I have, and then I have my hat. I'm a big baseball guy. I'm in a fantasy baseball league that I've been on there for probably about 10 years now.
Dang.
And it's a keeper league too. And it sucks, man. It sucks from a fan standpoint, but from a person, human being, trying to make sure everybody's healthy and alive. I mean, if that's what we have to do, that's what we have to do.
Yep.
Like all the Moda and stuff got canceled for
Me, so I know I was gonna go in April to their event, but now that's been canceled indefinitely. Well, it's been canceled, and March Madness. Whoever thought that would get canceled and canceled.
It got canceled. My wife had a 5K for Wonder Woman, sponsored by DC or something like that here in Katy. And yesterday she got an email saying it was canceled. So
yeah, so it's a crazy time right now, man.
Yeah.
So, let's move on to what is going on with the UFC in terms of these developments. So, if you don't know, today's UFC event in Brazil will be taking place in the empty arena. So it's be interesting. So basically, it's gonna be like watching the prelims. The prelims. In the crowd.
That's so much shade you're throwing right there, man, to the prelim guys.
Not to the prelim guys. I throw it to the fans that buy tickets. Like, if you're buying tickets, first of all, you're not buying tickets just casually because these tickets are so goddamn expensive.
Have you ever been to a UFC fight?
No. And I would love to go.
So every time I go to a UFC fight, man, I take off that Friday, from work, and I go to the weigh-ins. I always go to the weigh-ins. I want to get the whole experience. And then I look at my ticket. On my ticket, it says doors open at 5 or 4:30. Sometimes it's 4:30, sometimes it's 5. And I'm there when the doors open, and I walk in. And there's a couple reasons why. I have, from every fight that I've gone to, I have the poster, the main poster, and I have a shirt from every fight. Okay. And they sell out. I mean, if you wait till the prelim start, or if they open at 5, if you wait till 6:30 to get there, 7, they're probably sold out by then.
Damn.
So that's why I always go. I learned my lesson early, and even then, the first fight that I went to, I still got on my stuff, but I just knew that by the end of the night it was sold out. So I like to see the whole thing. So I'll set up. Sometimes they let you go to the front while people are coming out. Sometimes the fighters are in the octagon, like multiple fighters, and they're just kind of like shadow boxing, trying to get a feel for the arena, for the octagon, for the mat. And you just get to see a lot of people walk in and stuff. So I don't know why people don't do that more, to get, maybe especially if it's your first time, man, go and get the whole experience. But every time I see those prelims and I don't see people on there, man, it's just like, man, what are y'all doing? Like, these guys are gonna be the guys that are gonna be on the main card, man. Like, they're gonna be there eventually. They're just new to the UFC,
man.
Yeah, that's exactly what that's what I was thinking, because it was during the Mearshart and Wynn fight. Great fight. Nobody's there watching.
Nobody saw it, man, live. Nobody saw it live, basically.
Yeah, I'm like, come on, man. Like, that was such a great fight. And it just sucks for those guys. So this is just a little shade thrown to the not to the prelim guys, but the people that don't go to watch the prelims, because normally some really good fights there. But yeah, so that's what it's gonna be like today. Basically prelim fights all night long.
I mean, it's like prelims, or it's like what's the other one? The Tuesday Night Contender Series.
Yeah.
But except it's gonna have commentating, and it's gonna be like what's it called, the Ultimate Fighter, but again with commentating. So just not a lot of people, not a lot of crowd noise. So that's just interesting to me, man. It's gonna be a different experience for sure.
Yeah, it is. And then next week's event, which is taking place in London, which is the Woodley versus Edwards fight, very highly anticipated fight. No word on it yet. So far, it's going to be proceeding as scheduled, but you never know. I think everyone's taking these days. Everyone's taking it day by day. Like, basically, you just gotta wait. Like, don't make any plans. Basically, just kind of wait to see what happens. And then the Columbus fight, which is on the 28th of March, which is the one that we were gonna fight companion.
Yeah.
Looks like it's going to be taking place in the Apex in Las Vegas.
I mean, we could still fight companion it as long as you take a test that you don't have the coronavirus. I'm good.
I mean, yeah, I'll probably take a test. I'll take a test. But yeah, so no word on 249. I think that's because Dana's being very strategic and not mentioning.
Dude, if he ever says anything about Khabib versus Ferguson, I'm telling you right now, people will riot. It's. I don't know if you want to go into. Do you want to go into it right now, or you want to keep talking about these other fight cards?
Go for it.
So, man, this fight card, this fight between Khabib and Ferguson has been years in the making. I think I mentioned to you it's been booked like 4 different times. It's fallen apart 4 different times.
Yep.
And fans want to see it, and from what's going on now through no fault of their own, I feel like it's not gonna happen, man. I don't know. I feel like it's not gonna happen. I don't want to say it.
So you think Ali is posturing when he tweeted what he tweeted yesterday?
What did he tweet?
He basically said that empty arena or no empty arena, this fight's happening.
Well, look, I think think about it from Dana White's perspective, right? He's gonna miss out on a gate of like, what is it, $3 million or something like that he's gonna miss out on because people aren't gonna be going there. I think that would translate probably to more pay-per-view buys if they keep it on pay-per-view.
Yeah, it would.
I mean, would they though? I don't know.
I think it would though, because everyone is at home literally. Like there are people that are stuck at home, and that's why I think so many of these events are happening. Like most people would have just been like, whatever.
But wouldn't that be considered price gouging?
I don't know. I don't
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like it's a fine line that Dana White has to walk, man. And if he's thinking from a business perspective, he's like, man, this is a huge fight card. We're supposed to be making millions off of this, and now we might not. What if I just postpone it? Postpone it till June or fight week, and we have like, I don't know, something crazy like back-to-back fight cards for fight week. One on Friday night, one on Saturday night, or one on Saturday and one on Sunday.
What do we have for fight week so far? Because I know we have Masvidal Usman.
There's
for that weekend.
There's 2. Isn't Henry Cejudo coming back that one?
Is it that one? I'm trying to see if I can go that far back. No, Cejudo Aldo's May 9th.
Yeah.
That's 250. That's in July, right?
It's July, yeah. It's July 3rd through the 7th.
The card's taking place on the 11th.
No, it should be on the 7th.
Nothing's been. Well, it's got the 11th, dude. July 11th is the actual day. It's taking place in Las Vegas. There's nothing. There's literally just says TBD. Nothing's been set for that card yet. So.
That is, it's Jones versus Santos. No, never mind. This is last year.
You're looking at last year's.
Damn it! That's like why. That's what I took to the 7th.
July 11th is the card night, and there's nothing scheduled on the UFC's. I know that they're looking at what they could schedule for that. I know Usman Masvidal was supposed to be around that time, so I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, would you, like, as a businessman, wouldn't you want to like postpone one of your biggest fight cards to maximize, especially since you're gonna be losing money on these cards? I mean, and I'm saying that from like a logical perspective, from a irrational fan, a fanatic perspective. Man, this is gonna cause all kinds of bad will with the UFC, man, because people want to see this fight. They've been wanting to see this fight. The thing is, it's still a good fight. Like the whole Manny Pacquiao Mayweather fight was probably by 4 or 5 years past its prime.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't see them at their peak, and to this day, I hate boxing. Because of that. Like, I love boxing, but I hate boxing. It's a love-hate relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that is how the structure is set up, where there's multiple belts, multiple promoters. They can choose who they want to fight. Nobody forces them to fight. In the UFC tells you who to fight, and you got to fight them. If not, you're ducking them and dodging them, and you get cut. Like Yair Rodriguez got cut, and then he comes crawling back and said, "I'm sorry, I'll fight whoever."
Mm-hmm.
So Khabib versus Ferguson right now is still prime. Yeah. But that could change, man. That could change. Ferguson gets hurt again. Now he's coming out multiple injuries or whatever, or they postpone it and one of them has a bad camp or something happens, or like the people want to see it. So there's so much riding on this fight, man, for both Khabib and Ferguson and for the UFC and Dana White. So it's just interesting, man. It's really taking something that's out of their control, out of their hands, and now there's a real possibility that we're not going to get to see this fight at all.
Yeah, that's probably why he's holding back on saying anything, because maybe he's hoping for the best. Maybe he's hoping for things to turn around real quick and not have to cancel. But yeah, I mean, I think the best thing for him to do is just to not even mention it right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's doing that purposely, not. But I think he also has a lot on his plate. I mean, like you said, the next week's fight card is basically day to day. It's such a fluid situation, and London, England hasn't put any restrictions in place, so that could change between now and tomorrow. Honestly,
yeah.
I mean, if you saw, I don't know if you saw, but New York has put in a restriction of more than 500 people. So if any event has more than 500 people, it's canceled or it's restricted or it's illegal at this point because the city of New York put that in place. I'm also seeing things like movie theaters. Movie theaters are halving their allowable tickets being sold from every theater. So if a theater holds 200 people, they're only selling 100 tickets so that people can have space in between their seats.
So that means go to the drive-in.
Yeah, exactly, the drive-in. But that's what I'm saying. Like he has that on his plate. He has next week's UFC card. The week after that, he has to do logistics for all the people that were going to be in. I think you said it was Columbus, right? For the one after that.
Yeah, Ohio is one of the hardest hit states.
Yeah, he has to move all those people to Vegas. He has to get all the flights. I mean, he doesn't necessarily, but he has to make sure that all the people have what they need to get to Vegas, and that they have the capacity to hold all the people, the fighters, the fight crew, all that stuff. So there's a lot going on, and so I'm sure he's thinking about, like, I'm not going to talk about it because it's going to give me a whole wave of negative comments and stuff and questions.
Just go card by card.
Yeah, let me just go really day by day. Let's get through Brazil, and that's the thing too. The thing that I think he's doing too with Brazil, the Brazil card, is he's figuring out how it would look and the logistics of it, and saying, okay, we got through that unscathed. Everybody's fine. Everybody's good. Everybody left, and they're back home and they're safe. I think we could do that more. We can do, open venues. Maybe we book smaller venues,
Yeah,
and we do it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see what happens. I'm actually really excited to see how today goes. One, it's a really good card. A lot of good fights that are on this card.
Good card, man. I mean, I was telling you earlier that this card, not because he's being a promoter and the owner of the UFC, because I think he's still part owner, but as a fan, I think he's like, man, we have to keep this card going because there's so many good fights on this card, man.
Well, every time he goes to Brazil, he tries to show out. Put on a really good show every time he goes to Brazil. So and having a lot of like top-notch Brazilian fighters helps out a lot too.
But on top of that, man, real quick, how important is it and how awesome is it going to be that the UFC is going to be like the only sport on today, basically? All eyes for the most part are going to be on the UFC today because they're the only professional sport on today.
It's true, man. That's really true. Did you see that video of someone posting of like people
bowling or something?
Yeah, and everyone was like, "Yes!" Like, and my girl was like, "It's gonna be you." I was like, "Yeah, basically."
Yeah, I mean, seriously, man, we have nothing. We have nothing right now, man. We have no spring training baseball, which we wanted to get back to so bad, so that we can regain our honor as Astros Astros team and Astros fans. And then the NBA was the small ball was starting to kind of bear some fruit, and we had some losses as the Rockets did, but it's still exciting and different, and the playoff push was about to start happening. So I don't know, man, it's just horrible from a fan and sport perspective, and also, I mean, from a human perspective, dude, this thing is pretty legit and disgusting. But now all we have is UFC right now, man. So we're all UFC fans right now.
Yeah, UFC and whatever the hell you can find on Netflix to watch.
if you haven't watched it already.
Yeah, Elijah.
I'm about to start my second go through. Not my second. I mean, I've gone through it probably like 8 times, but I'm gonna start another go through on The Office because there's nothing else to watch.
I found out that I'm a fan of trash television.
Trash?
Yeah, trash television. So like, I watched The Circle on Netflix, and it's so bad it's good. I know. You know what got me into this? People. Shame. I don't mind. I have no problem with it. You want to know?
I have no shame. I have no shame watching it.
Yeah, because it's trash television, and I love it. What got me into it was when I watched a show called Collider Live, and one of the guys he used to be a producer on The Bachelor. And he was talking about like kind of like the inner workings of The Bachelor, and then talk about how like ridiculous The Bachelor in Paradise is.
Yeah, dude, they
And
had to
like
cancel that thing.
yeah, but I'm just saying like how dirty it is, like in terms of like people causing problems and what the producers do. I was just so interested because then I watched them like, man, like I wonder what that producer was saying to that person before this happened, because he said that the producers, basically none of the contestants on any of these like reality shows, they're basically, it's real, but they're contrived. It's kind of manipulated to go a certain way. So like he said that, say one of the Bachelorette, she wants to eliminate this one. She's like, I want to eliminate this one guy. He's like, well, do you really want to eliminate him, or you just haven't gotten a chance to know him? Maybe you should get a chance to know him. Give him like keep him around for one more week.
Like,
And
no,
they're
I
like,
would eliminate him. Okay, way to keep him
oh
on.
yeah, it's crazy. And he said that also that these people are like drunk the entire time. They just
Pretty
keep
much.
pumping drinks into them, man. They
Pretty
don't
much.
stop.
The liquid
So,
courage, man. The liquid courage.
yeah, so I think that's why I kind of got into it. And then I watched that Love Is Blind, which is like, this is insane.
I haven't seen that, dude. I need to watch it because I've been, the one thing too that Netflix did that I think is pretty cool. It'll say like top 10 in US today.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
I think that's pretty cool, man, because you see what other people are watching and you see what, honestly, you see what people are gonna be talking about, because I think the Love, Death and Robots, I hadn't really messed with it, and then I love anime stuff and cartoons, but I saw one tweet from somebody that like I follow what they do. I think they're a reviewer for what is it? Vox. I think it's called Vox. And I was like, oh man, this is pretty good. So let me watch it. And I started watching it, and then like a week later, everybody started watching it and posting. And I was like, oh man, I can talk about this stuff because I already watched it. And so I think that's kind of what helps me with seeing, top 10 in US or number 7 in US or whatever. Like, damn, so people are watching it.
Yeah, and what Netflix did with that Love Is Blind is they did the week by week basis. So every episode got one episode got released per week. So I guess they're trying the whole Disney Plus thing, because I know they've done that a few times, but this was like I think the biggest one they did with the.
I don't know, because the Hassan Minaj show, they do that weekly thing, and I watch that show every week because it's such a good show, man.
I love it.
It's kind of like what is it
talk
called?
Show, right? Like the Daily Show.
Yeah, like the Daily Show, but more like the one from HBO with John Oliver. What's it called? Last week tonight or something like that.
Yeah, last week tonight.
Yeah, it's almost exactly like that. It's really good. It's really researched and it's really funny. So that's why every week when it comes out, I watch that one.
Yeah, Hassan Minaj is great.
But I recently watched, and I think I'm pretty much done with the whole thing. And it came out on the 11th. Is the Dirty Money?
I haven't seen that.
Dude, Dirty Money is legit, dude. It's a show on basically corruption, and they do pretty good research and they interview people that are part of like that were in it. And so this season they had Jared Kushner and his companies and how he's a slumlord.
Yeah.
They had guardianship in the US, which is when lawyers and doctors take advantage of older people and force them into guardianship and then steal their money. And they had two examples, and one example was here from San Antonio, and it was so sad, man. It sucks.
It's hard to watch things like that, especially like my girl's been watching the trials for Gabriel.
Oh, dude,
I can't.
Dude, I
just can't.
I saw that the other day too with my wife, and she was crying for pretty much the whole thing, dude.
Yeah, man, I just can't.
It sucks, dude. But I mean, we need to know, man. We need to know this stuff. And,
I know,
and what they're doing to fix it, man. So it was Jared Kushner. It was the guardianship. It was, I'm trying to remember what the other ones were. Oh, one of them was also here in Houston too, or not in Houston, in Texas, but it was like in Port Lavaca, where it was a company that does diapers or something, and they were spilling all their stuff into the bay, and that that nobody wanted to help them, so the people went out there themselves and got all the evidence, and then they showed it to a judge, and there's like an injunction, and it's still going on right now. Like all this stuff is kind of current right now, man. Like one of them was all the way through January of this year, like what they're still doing. So I recommend that one, man. Dirty Money. I love all that stuff with corruption and how people get caught and how people are stupid and they're so greedy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which one? Like the Theranos thing that I like. With that lady that defrauded people for over, I think it was like, I don't know, like $1 billion or something. That was a tech company because she said she could do testing a lot faster, but she lied the whole time. So I don't know, man. I just like those corruption things with financial stuff.
Yeah. Now that we're on the topic of like movies and television and stuff, we didn't even talk about how movies that are getting canceled here in the United
Oh
States.
yeah,
So
yeah.
like
Let's talk about that real quick.
A Quiet Place
Yeah.
got moved back. Fast 9 literally got moved to next year. So instead of releasing, because they're supposed to release, I think, next month in April, they are now going to be releasing in, I think, June of 2020 or May of 2020. I might be wrong. I can't remember. One of those. 2021 is when it's going to be released now. And then also Mulan and New Mutants as well. So out of those movies, 2 of those are Disney movies. If I was Disney, I probably wouldn't even release New Mutants in the theater because of the problems that it's had and the fact that it's been pushed back for so long.
Oh, dude, they would do so well if they released it on Disney Plus, dude.
That's what I would.
But
say that.
Is it rated R?
I think it's a PG-13.
PG-13. If it's PG-13, they should do it on there. But remember, I don't know if I told you, but they're saying that they want to split up, some of the Fox stuff to put it on Hulu because, like, I guess Aliens and stuff like that is rated R. They want to put it on Hulu and they want to put all the PG-13 stuff and below on Disney Plus. If it's PG-13, dude, and actually they took a show off of Disney Plus recently. I think it was it Love, Simon? I think they took off of.
They took Love. Oh yeah, because they're gonna make a show. I love Love, Simon.
But they took it. No, they took it off. But they took it off because it was
it's rated R.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They took it off because of that, dude. So,
dude, that's a great movie, man. That movie shouldn't even be rated R. It's rated R because there's like they say "fuck" us a couple times. Like it's not that big of a deal. But obviously, people are language and nudity is worse than blood and guts.
Yeah.
And violence.
Real quick on Dirty Money, this season they talked about Wells Fargo and all those crazy accounts that they opened and how they did it, which I thought was really cool, like behind the scenes. And I worked at a bank, dude, so a lot of that stuff hit home because it was a lot of the same stuff.
Damn.
And then 2, have you heard of this huge, basically the biggest fraud in history, basically, besides Bernie Madoff, but this dude, he's a 26-year-old guy named Joe Lowe. He defrauded Malaysia for $4.1 billion, dude.
What the fuck?
Dude, and it's crazy. He's the one he financed the Wolf of Wall Street.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Dude, watch that one, dude. Watch it. I'm telling you, dude, it's crazy. Like, and we don't know about it. He has pictures with DiCaprio, with what's her name, Paris Hilton, like all these other people, dude. And he was just spending like stupid money. Like he basically stole that money from the people in Malaysia, and now he's in the wind. They don't know where he's at. He's gone.
That's insane, man. The fact that these people can get away with this shit is crazy,
dude. They only recovered, I think, 800 million in assets, I think. And one of the assets, he bought some celebrity. I forgot who it was. He bought, it was a female celebrity, a singer. He bought her a crystal clear and a crystal grand piano, and it's worth like a ridiculous amount of money. And what she did is she put it in her home and she built a room around it so they can't take it out. So the FBI couldn't seize it because they couldn't take it out of the room.
That's so genius. Like, I'm not even mad at it. That's one of those things I'm just kind of like, you got beat. You can't do anything about it. Like, it's one of those things you go, touche.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's why I watch those, man, because you get like, so I was already reading up about this. There's a book called, I think it's called The $1 Billion Whale. And the first time I heard about it was probably about 3 months ago on the Ryan Russillo podcast. You know Ryan Russillo? Mm-hmm. So he had the writer of this book called The $1 Billion Whale. And I started reading that book. Like I stopped listening to the podcast because I was like, man, this is crazy. I can't believe I didn't know this. And what got me was that he financed. He not only financed The Wolf of Wall Street, he financed like 3 or 4 other movies, and he was on the red carpet with all these people, and it was just crazy. Like he was flaunting this money, and people didn't know where this money came from, and then when it came to find out, is it came from Malaysia and this big fund called the 1MDB fund, and he basically milked them for all their money, dude. $4.1 billion.
Jesus, man.
It's called $1 Billion Whale by Bradley Hope and Tom Wright. And it's just crazy how he did it. And another part of that is that Goldman Sachs facilitated it, dude. They allowed that to happen by like giving a lot of exceptions and not getting the proper paperwork that they needed to transfer this money in. And they got, normally they're supposed to get like they did like some little thing on there where it says normally they're supposed to get like, I don't know, $50 million off of these transactions, and off of this transaction with this guy, this scam artist, they made like $500 million. So it benefited them to do it.
Damn. All right, man. This is some crazy stuff. All right, let's go ahead and jump into this 248 card. Speaking of crazy stuff, because this card was insane, man. It's probably one of the best. This is probably the best card of the year, I would say. Up there with, what was it, 247? The Houston event.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's up there with that one for sure. And we got the fight of the year so far on this card, and some people are even saying one of the best matches, one of the best fights of all time, because of how great that fight was. So we'll get to that later, but we're gonna go ahead and go. We watched the entire card. I finally finished it. You watched it that day. So
live.
Yeah, it was a great card. So go ahead and start with the first fight on the early prelims. Dana Bakary taking on Guido Canetti. And they were really hyping up Dana, I heard on the commentary.
Yeah.
And he did not disappoint. Great knockout of Guido Canetti here in the bantamweight division. And sorry, I'm trying to remember a little bit. I just know that they were standing basically the entire time, and they were trading back and forth. It looked like Guido might have landed a few shots, but they did not, with the nasty knockout punch. So what did you think about this fight?
I mean, I figured it was gonna go somewhat this way. Dana is the prospect here, and so when you're the prospect, they put you up against somebody that's, I don't know, kind of like tailor-made for you. So if somebody's gonna stand and bang, and you got more power, you're probably gonna knock the guy out. And that's kind of what happened here.
Yeah, it was a good fight, good showing for Dana. He was basically saying he wants Mongolian, like Mongolia on the map in UFC.
On the map. Yeah, dude, that's pretty cool.
Good way to do it. Good way to do it. I noticed this was a really weird night for translators.
Yeah, we'll get into that. That's something we got to talk about.
Okay. Oh well. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
All right. Next, we have the featherweight fight. We have Giga Chikadze taking on Jamal Emmers, and Giga was just a superior striker in this one. Just superior in all ways, and Jamal looked like he respected Giga very, very early, because Giga was landing some nasty kicks, he was throwing some crazy stuff, trying to land some spinning back kicks, spinning like kicks. It was just insane, jump kicks and stuff like that. So, but this is one where I think Giga actually slowed down middle of that second round, really slowed down. Jamal Emmers got a few takedowns, if I'm not mistaken, and got some confidence, and then really started turning up in that third round, but it was just too late. And now that I'm actually looking at the numbers right now. So for Giga, I'm going to say Chikadze. Giga sounds so weird. For Chikadze, he lands 40 out of 125 total strikes and lands 38 of 122 strikes, whereas you have Jamal landing 57 of 130 total strikes, and landing 54 of 127 significant strikes, and then getting 2 takedowns, 2 of 6. So he didn't have a great percentage in terms of takedowns, but did get those 2 takedowns. think the first one was in the second round. The last one was in the third round.
So if you see these numbers and you didn't watch the fight, you're like, man, Jamal should have won.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at it from the fight standpoint, Chikaze won round 1. He won round 2, even though he was slowing down, but he won round 2, and then he lost round 3 basically, and he got outlanded a lot in the third round. So he won 2 out of 3 rounds. But the numbers just don't look that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is one of those fights that if Jamal picks it up just a little bit earlier in that second round, he probably wins the second round and then wins that third round because he won the third round by far. There was no doubt about it. But
or if he like really puts it on him and maybe gets a knockdown or hurts him, he gets a 10-8 round, and then he at least gets a draw. You know?
Yeah, but unfortunately, it didn't go that way, and Jamal Emmers ends up getting the loss. But I think if anything, he may have gained something from this fight because it's one of those fights where you're down early. You can't seem to figure out you can't seem to figure out your opponent, and then instead of giving up, because he could have just shrunk. I look at it that way. It's like you could have shrunk, could have become I'm not going to win this fight, blah blah blah. But he waited for the guy to tire himself out, got in there and took a round, but unfortunately it was too late. So I wouldn't say take too much away from Jamal Emmers from this fight. But Giga Chikadze, man, if he can just maybe if he's fighting anybody else, knocks him out in that first round because he's throwing some crazy stuff. And he has I think he's a kickboxer. So he's willing to go in there and kickbox. And if you're going to kickbox with him, I mean, he was really landing some nasty stuff on Jamal, and Jamal he really couldn't figure out Chikadze in that first round.
I mean, it's hard with kickboxers, man. Like they have such a good understanding of spacing and also they have great timing. It's gonna take a wrestler to kind of wrestle him down and beat him.
Yeah, and I think that's where Chikadze probably started slowing down once he had to actually
counter wrestle.
Yeah, counter wrestle and trying to keep Jamal off of him. Because I think when he realized he could handle the power.
Yeah,
and Jamal realized he could handle the power. I think Joe Rogan was saying that in the commentary. If you can handle the power, once you realize that, it doesn't matter anymore. Now you can just go in there and kind of throw caution to the wind, and just did it a little too late. That's all I have to say about that one.
And
this is one where I don't necessarily agree with Joe Rogan's, because when he was talking about the Jones-Reyes fight, and he was saying that in a fight, I guess he was doing it by pride rules. Way he looks at a fight is if you lose 3 rounds, but if you're winning those last couple rounds, if your opponent that you're fighting is tired as hell, you should win the fight. Even though I don't agree with that, this is one of those ones where it's like, and even maybe we'll get into one later, the Marco Madsen and Austin Hubbard fight, where I might even agree more. Is I see the point. I don't agree with the point, but I see the point in terms of, yeah, I could see it sometimes, but not all the time. If you know what I mean.
Well, I think that mixed martial arts is such a unique thing. I don't want to call it a sport. It is a sport, but it's a thing. And the reason it's a thing is because it's a sport out of a fight. They're trying to make a fight more or less barbaric, I guess, more civilized. So they're turning it into a sport. But when it becomes a sport like the Olympics, then you have to put in these things where it's like,
you score points.
You score points and you do this and you do that. And it takes away from the origins of that it's a fight.
Who came
for example, yeah. So in that, for example, when we'll talk about it more in the Madsen fight, but if I think who was it? There was a fight between BJ Penn and George St. Pierre, and to this day I still think BJ Penn probably won that fight. But GSP was beat up, dude, like beat up, and he ended up winning the fight. And he goes to he had to go to the hospital. At the post-fight press conference, they're asking BJ Penn, what happened? Who do you think won? Whatever. He goes, I won that fight. He goes, I won that fight. I won that fight hands down. He's like, he's not even here. He's at the hospital. He goes, so if you ever have a fight and you don't go to the hospital and they do, who do you think won that fight? And that's basically what he said. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I kind of get it and I don't. Like, at the same time, this is the sport that we play in. This is the sandbox that we play in. So by points and winning rounds, you win the fight. But if the guy has, has to go to the hospital and you didn't, then you damaged him way more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Like that's why when Joe used the Jones Reyes fight, I didn't necessarily agree, but I know at least the Marco Madsen fight, I definitely agree with that sentiment. All right, we'll just go into the prelims card now. This one was jam packed, dude. Just up and down, great fights, and ended kind of quickly because there were a couple finishes.
Yep.
There was 3 finishes out of 4, and 2 of them were in the first round.
Yep.
So start with the Gerald.
Three of them were in the first round. Oh no, you're right. Two of them.
2 of them in the first round, but the last one was in the first fight, which we're about to talk about right now. Ended in the 3rd round. Yeah, Gerald Mearshart and Deron Wynn in the middleweight division. This is Deron Wynn coming off of a loss, but a very. If I'm not mistaken, how did he lose his last fight?
It was a decision against Darren Stewart.
Yeah, there you go. So the decision loss that he lost. So he didn't. The thing is, I think he's been going away from his wrestling a lot lately, and it's very odd to me. He seems like he wants to stand up with these guys, but when you have such a height advantage and a length disadvantage, length disadvantage, I feel like the best thing you want to do is want to get in close, especially with this dude. Like if you look at these two guys, Deron Wynn and Gerald Mearshart, like Gerald's a big guy.
Yeah, he's a big dude for the division.
Very long.
Yeah, well, but that's the thing though, man. Like he has to fight. Like he's at a disadvantage already because he's a wrestler. Like that, the fight starts standing, not on the ground. So he has to close the distance. And when you're at that much of a disadvantage, any step forward that you make, you're in the range of your opponent. So it just makes it difficult, man. And I I'll say it now. I think Darren Wynn is undersized for the division, and I think he needs to figure out a way. I know Amateur is saying that there's no way he can go to 170. I mean, in my experience and from what I've seen, he just looks soft, man. Like he looks like he has a lot of water weight on there, and that he could probably lose some of it to get to 170. I'm not a specialist, I don't know, but I'm just saying I've seen this thing happen with other fighters where they come in and they have that same physique, and then they can lose some weight and they get down to a lower weight class. And I'm not just saying 185 to 170. I'm saying 205 to 185. That's 20-pound difference. I've seen that happen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, don't look too far. Look at Cannonier. Cannonier was fighting at heavyweight, and when he got down to 205, he kind of looked like Darren Wynn's body type. And now he's fighting at 185, and he looks shredded. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So, I mean, you don't have to look too far to find somebody that has done it. And I'll say again, like James Vick was saying about this fight that we're about to watch today. James Vick said that he's made weight 13 times as a professional, and he's 6'2", and he makes the 155-pound division. Mm-hmm. So I mean, he said you got to hire a nutritionist and figure it out for your body, but you should be able to do it. So, he was just at a disadvantage in this fight, man. He's going to be at disadvantage at 185 going forward. And I mean, the last fight he lost by decision, and it was a lot of the same thing, man. He couldn't get him down. He had to stand up, and he was taking a lot of punishment through jabs and boxing and kicks, and he's not good for the division. He doesn't have enough tools in his tool belt at that size.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because he even hurt
Mearshart. Yeah,
Mearshart at one point. I don't know if he doesn't necessarily have the power to knock out these guys at 185 because he is seeming to have problems with that. Even his first fight that he won, I believe it was by decision.
Mm-hmm.
He won by decision. He just can't get that finish where you see as soon as Mearshart hurt Wynn, he jumped on him. I got afraid at one point because what's his name he was down on his knee, and I was like, oh no, he's gonna knee him, because we've seen so many illegal knees lately. But Mearshart slowed down and got on his back and choked him out, and it was just very good performance from Mearshart and from Wynn too. But unfortunately, like you say, he just doesn't have the tools to succeed at this point, at this level.
So look, check it out. He beat Eric Spicely by decision.
Yeah, there you go. And he was taking huge damage against Spicely.
And then he fought Darren Stewart, and he missed weight, dude. He came in at 188.5 pounds.
So yeah, man, there's a problem here. He's
Yeah.
gonna have to change his. He's gonna have to go get into shape.
I
All
mean,
right.
I hate to say it, man. He's an Olympic athlete, man. He's an Olympic athlete, but he's 5'6", dude. He's 5'6", and it's just not conducive for that middleweight division, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and jump into this next fight. Another middleweight fight. Rodolfo Vieira taking on Saparbeg Safarov.
Yeah,
And it's crazy because Safarov hurts Rodolfo very early in this fight.
dude. That dude's eye
is
was
bad.
like, yes, man. It was like,
And I love what he said in the interview, man. I love what he said in the interview.
what did he say?
He said that he knew what happened to his eye, so he's like, I gotta finish it this round.
Yeah,
Because I'm not gonna be able either I'm not gonna be able to see him and the fight's gonna get called, or I'm gonna get really hurt. So he says, you know what, I gotta take care of business, takes him down and jumps on his back, and that's it.
So my thought process is, dummy, why didn't you do that from the beginning instead of trying to strike with him, man? Why do wrestlers and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys love to strike when that's not your forte, man? Just take the dude down, and if you want to beat him up, then beat him up a little bit, but then get your damn submission in, man. And we saw that, like, whenever there was a sense of urgency, because dude, his eye went from like 0 to 100 real quick, man. Like, he got hit, and then like they showed two different angles, and then the third angle, it was already like bulbous and closed, and why? And then the sense of urgency kicked in, and he's like, all right, I gotta take him down. He takes him down, and then he submits him, and boom, done deal,
Yeah, and this guy's built like a freak. Like, he's like the Paulo Costa's
dude. He's huge, man. He's freaking huge, dude. Dude, and it's so awkward listening to Joe Rogan. He's built like a Greek god, or Greek. What does he say? A Greek.
He's an admirer of people's physiques.
A Greek statue.
He's an admirer of people's physiques. He really is. But I like what Cormier said when Cormier said yesterday he didn't look like that.
That he did it?
He looked smaller because he had to make weight.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's,
you mentioned he didn't look like that. So like the change that these guys go through in a matter of 24 hours is insane. The fact that he said that he didn't look like that, and then the next day he's shredded.
Yeah, dude. Well, dude, real quick, we'll get right back to this, but breaking news: Pence has extended the travel ban to Europe, to UK, and to Ireland.
Okay.
So that might affect next week's card.
So depending on where the fighters are at.
Yeah, where the fighters are at. But I mean, if I'm not mistaken, it's only for what are they called? Native from that country, Mm-hmm. So like if I'm a US person, I can fly to Europe and back or something. Okay. Like I won't get stuck over there, in other words.
But like Leon Edwards wouldn't be able to travel.
Yeah, like if he's coming here, he's probably not gonna be able to travel.
So that sucks.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So they're gonna have to figure out something over there, like a smaller venue or something, and not have people there. I don't know, but that does impact the UFC next week. We'll see what happens from that.
Yeah, we'll see.
And here's the other thing too, that Dana White said in his interview yesterday that he talked to both Pence and Trump. So Dana White has a direct line to the president of the United States and the vice president of the United States. So if they were going to do this, I'm sure he knew about it, and he's probably already replying about it. And I'm sure he has some sort of a leeway with them, or some sort of connection to him. So we'll see.
They have an in.
So back to Rodolfo.
Yeah, man, just really good performance not before, but after the eye kick. Good performance from Rodolfo. He's super. He's very technical on the ground. Like when you watch him, like every move that he makes is very calculated. Like you saw literally where he did something with his arm, and he was just waiting for Safarov to move it, and right as soon as Safarov moved his arm, boom, had the choke in, and that was it.
Yeah, with these high level guys, man, and jiu-jitsu, man, and I'll encourage you, dude, if you can, to go back and watch something called the Metamoris, which is basically a grappling promotion, and all they do is grappling, and they have a bunch of UFC fighters that have gone on there. But high level jiu-jitsu guys, it's like chess, man. That's why I love chess. That's why I love jiu-jitsu. They're like 2 to 3, maybe 4, 5, 6 steps ahead of the normal guy in MMA. And we're gonna see it tonight. We're gonna see it tonight with Damian Maia. And what happens is that they do a lot of setups. They do a lot of. I mean, I remember listening to Eddie Bravo talk about. So if you don't know, Eddie Bravo became Eddie Bravo and became famous because he basically submitted one of the big Gracies that was basically considered unsubmittable and the best jiu-jitsu guy in the world, and he defeated him. And it's funny because it was at a Abu Dhabi, I think it was Abu Dhabi Championship, and Abu Dhabi Championship or Abu Dhabi Combat Club is this really cool yearly jiu-jitsu tournament for the best jiu-jitsu players in the world that you have to get invited to, and it's put on by a prince in Abu Dhabi, and he pays out I think $1 million to the winner every year. And it was in one of these Abu Dhabi Combat Club tournaments that Eddie Bravo beat one of the Gracies. I think it was I forgot who it was. It was one of the Gracies. I gotta go back and look at it. And he beat him, and I don't think he submitted him because those guys don't submit, but he beat him, and it wasn't even in the finals. It was like in like a quarterfinals or something. And I don't even think Bravo won that championship, that gold. He lost, but he beat the Gracie guy, and that like blew his name up everywhere, dude. And what he was explaining what he was doing when he won, and he's like, I was putting my arm there and I was pushing his arm up. He's like, I'm pushing his arm up, and Joel Rogan's right. He goes, why are you doing that? He goes, well, I want his arm to go down, but he doesn't know what I'm doing, so I'm pushing his arm up. So he's like, okay, well, he wants my arm to go up, so I'm gonna put my arm down. And so when he puts his arm down, he gets him. You know what I'm saying? So that's the kind of mind games that these guys play. Like he like they're all expecting them to do something. I'm pulling over here, I'm pushing over there. They think I want you here, but I really want you there. So how can I get you to get where I need you so I can finish you? Yeah. You know, and that's what he did. Like you said, he Adolfo Vieira, you know, put his arm there and he was waiting for him, and as soon as he moved it, boom, he caught him. And that's how jiu-jitsu is, man. You're ahead of your opponent.
That's crazy, man. It's fun to watch. Now that I'm actually been watching, you know, UFC more often and basically every week now, and I'm watching, like, that was when I think that's one of the first ones that I was like, dude, he's like literally manipulating him into doing everything he wants. And unfortunately, Safarov he didn't realize it, and he did exactly what he wanted him to do.
Exactly, dude, because they're setting you up. It's a trap, man. It's a trap.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I was like, he's just not on the same level as this guy. He did exactly what he wanted him to do, and it wasn't. Adolfo didn't even look like he was breaking a sweat down there on the ground. So
he did submit him. It was Royler Gracie.
Royler Gracie, okay, man. Well, let's go ahead and jump into this lightweight fight. This is the one that we were going to talk about because this is actually a really good fight and probably a better example of what we were talking about with Joe Rogan. Marco Madsen taking on Austin Hubbard, and it was just one of those things where, dude, Marco Madsen is top level in terms of wrestling. He literally did a suplex on him.
He's an Olympian.
Yeah, he's an Olympian. So he literally suplexed the hell out of Austin Hubbard.
That was awesome, though, dude.
It was great. And every time he wanted to take down Hubbard, basically took him down. But I like what they were pointing out with Corbier and Rogan were pointing out is that every time he was taken down, he was still getting back up.
Yep.
He wasn't staying down. So he would get down. The ref didn't have to stand them up himself. Like Austin Hubbard was working to get back up, and I think every time that happened, either one, it's making Mark tired, obviously. Austin too, but Mark's getting tired, and then it's also got to be kind of demoralizing that you can't seem to keep this guy down, especially being an Olympian.
Exactly. That's the big mental thing with wrestling, man. Like if you get them down, you got that mental edge, like this guy down, and if they pop back up, then you're like, man, but I can't hold them down. Mm-hmm. And now you're and as we saw in this fight, you're wasting energy, you know, because you're taking him down, but he's popping back up, so you have to waste more energy to try to take him down again. to try to keep him and hold him down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's a back and forth, man, with wrestling and how it's used. But in this case, I mean, it really backfired on Madsen towards the end of that fight.
Yeah, and it got to the point where because he lost the first two, he won the first 2 rounds easily. I think like he was taking him down over and over again. Was able to avoid some big strikes from Austin Hubbard, but it was that third round when Austin Hubbard's corner, told him, "You got to get a knockout here. You got to knock him out. Throw everything you got at the win." And I think something about when your corner says that, you're like, I don't know if it like maybe like snap something like that. Yeah, why not? Just like, what do I have to lose?
It's a sense of urgency, man.
Yeah.
You're either gonna lose or you're gonna go out on your shield and try to knock this guy out, man.
Yeah, and honestly, he was close.
He was close. He was close on multiple occasions, man.
Yeah, I think there was that one big knee that landed that literally almost knocked him out, but he just couldn't get to him after that.
Yeah, dude, and
then right back to the clinch, and he couldn't get out again.
Dude, and you can see like I don't know if you can see it, Alec, but like sometimes I can see like their energy leave their body. Like I don't know, like his back kind of slump when he started like moving around. And like, man, he's just dazed, and any little thing will knock him out right now. And Hubbard just couldn't get it, man. He just couldn't reach him or couldn't figure it out. And then he would get a snapback, and then it started over again. And then he got him again, and it was the same thing. Like he's almost gone. He's almost gone. But in fairness, man, you know, after the fight, we found out that Madsen broke his jaw in 2 places in that fight. Well, not Madsen broke his jaw, but Hubbard broke Madsen's jaw in 2 places in that fight. The first time he broke it was in the 2nd round. So for him to fight for 1.5 rounds with the broken jaw and that pain, yeah, man, that's a tough dude, man. That's a tough dude. And this is what we talk about, man. Like, I don't know. In this fight, what do you think, man? Like, you give it to Madsen because he won on points?
I give it to Madsen because he won on points, but there's something about he was done in that last round. Like he was not even before the strikes, he was done. I think he was ready for that fight to be over. And Austin Hubbard had all this energy to go, man. He had energy to spare. I think even at the end of that fight, like it's one of those ones that I do give it to Madsen, but I just felt bad for Hubbard. Like in terms, not bad for him, but like I just like, damn, like a little bit more time, or he gets started a little bit earlier in that 2nd round.
You know that's interesting, man, because that's like I'm thinking of Hubbard, right? Hubbard in a 5-round fight, he beats Madsen for sure, right? But obviously, this isn't a 5-round fight.
Nope.
So, but what if? I mean, that's the only strategy you got. What if you know he's a better striker? You know he's a better wrestler than you, but you have way better cardio. So what do you have to do to win the fight? Well, I got to get this guy tired, and then in the 3rd round, I have to knock him out because he's gonna be up 2 rounds on me. You know, like I'm just trying to think. Like I don't know if it's a strategy or how it can be made more even playing field. I guess in that sense, because it goes back to that thing. Like the guy Madsen went to the freaking hospital and had to have emergency surgery on his freaking jaw because it broke in 2 places. If that's a fight, like if those guys was just a fight, not a UFC fight, I mean, Madsen lost, man. I mean,
for sure.
You know, but it's not. You know, it's padded mat. Because if he gets suplex on concrete, then you know he's probably knocked out. Yeah, you know, so that's why it's like a give and take, man. So I don't know how I feel about these type of fights because I feel somehow they should score damage, you know, but it's kind of difficult to do in the moment, you know.
You can't. You don't know that Madsen's jaw's broken, you know.
I know, but you could tell that Rodolfo Vieira's eye was jacked up.
Oh well, yeah.
Or Joanna's forehead was like bulbous over here, you know.
That one was like, or even the you have to look at the Paul Felder and Hooker.
Yeah, dude.
Hooker, you saw Hooker's face, not too banged up, but you have Felder's face all banged up, but it was still a split decision.
Yeah, and some people like Felder are more prone to showing damage on their face, like they get red fast, and some people don't, you know.
But I just think like. If anything, I don't know if there's anything you can do in terms of like rules or anything to help that, or and judging maybe. There's a lot of changes that can be done in judging. Like that's not. I think that's the least of our worries. with judging. But I think Austin Hubbard, next time he fights a guy like that, or any fighter that realizes that they have the disadvantage in wrestling and but has better cardio, what you do is you try to you bait them to come in. Maybe throw some bigger shots, but don't throw yourself out. Throw some bigger shots so they feel like they need to go in for the thing, but know that you can take the wrestling. I don't know if that's the thing.
I don't know, man. I just feel like there has to be a way for him to wear out Madsen sooner.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
You know?
if he's able to make damage him like that in the second round, like he did in the third round, and then that just carries over to the third round. You have a whole 5 minutes to work with. Because it took maybe it took like almost a minute in before
Because
Hubbard hurt Madsen the way he did.
Yeah, because Madsen, I'm sure, was tired after the second round, but he gets his win back because he gets a minute to rest.
Mm-hmm.
And I always see that too. Like if somebody's tired in the second round, dude, the third round at the beginning is going to be tight because they get their win back for that minute. But then if you continue to do what you're doing and keep wearing them out, they're going to get tired again like they were in the second round.
Yeah,
there's only a few exceptions, man. A few exceptions are if these guys are normally they have good cardio, they'll get their second win. You know what's known as a second win.
Yeah.
But those are more rare.
Yeah,
those
we'll
are
see that
more
later.
rare. Yeah,
we'll see that later. So
yeah,
definitely. All right, let's go ahead and jump into this, man. This is one that I was really looking forward to because I've heard so much about Sean O'Malley. He's been out for 2 years, going up against Jose Quinones, and man, Sean O'Malley at the end of this fight just looked like disappointed.
Yeah, he wanted more of a fight.
So Sean O'Malley gets the quick knockout, TKO in the first round.
Yeah, it was a TKO. I wasn't too happy with it. Like I thought, and I've seen this guy Quinones fight more, and I thought he had more fight in him. But
he
maybe
gave up pretty easily. Yeah.
He gave up pretty easy. Maybe the bright lights got to him. I mean, he's fought on the main card before, but it was a fight night, and I think it was in Mexico. I think. But dude, Sean O'Malley looked great, man. I thought he was gonna have some ring rust, but dude, he looked sharp. He looked fast. He looked like he knew what he was doing out there. He didn't have any kind of jitters or anything for not fighting. And he kept saying, Sean O'Malley 2.0, 2.0.
Yeah.
And man, he looks a lot better
So-
here in just that little bit amount of time that we saw him, 2 minutes.
So what's he out for 2 years for?
For the juice.
Damn, man. So I really hope he's clean now, because I would love to see this guy fight. He's an exciting fighter to watch, and to find out that he likes throwing those crazy kicks, and that's not even his base.
No, dude, he fights crazy, dude. He came out of the Contender Series like one of the first seasons, and I think he's one of the reasons why the Contender Series took off too, because he's so crazy, and he's also very very recognizable because he had the big old afro before.
Yeah.
And all the tattoos, so he was very recognizable. But man, yeah, dude, I want to see more of him. Obviously, he wasn't hurt in this fight.
I would love to see if he comes in like in a month or so, ready to go again. But also, he's very, very long for the division.
He is 5'11".
Does he have any trouble making weight?
No,
that's perfect.
He doesn't have trouble, but people have said and have speculated that he's going to grow into his body and probably be fighting at 145. They liken it to his to Max Holloway. He's kind of like Max Holloway in his size.
I wouldn't mind seeing him in the featherweight either, though.
Yeah, and he just turned. He's 25. He turned 25 in October of last year. So
fucking asshole.
Why?
Because he's younger than me, and he's so much better.
I mean, I think you could take him, man.
Ah, man. That's some crazy kicking me. Like, the thing is, I have a rule that if I ever got – I've never been in a fight in my life. But if I ever got into a fight and somebody threw a kick at me, I'm done. I'm not going to fight you anymore.
Don't mess with my legs.
Yeah. You throw a leg kick or you throw a body kick, I'm done. I'm not playing with you.
Yeah, you got popped for Osterine.
I'm gonna pretend like I know what that is.
Let me see. I'm looking it up right now. I think it's let me see.
Wow. I'm looking at this main card right now, and I'm like, dude, this didn't even, like, there were 4 out of 5 decisions, but it didn't feel like that. when we were watching it.
On the main card?
Yeah. Like up until that last fight, it was an exciting fight. It was an exciting card. Even though they all went to this, basically all went to decision except for Dariush and Close.
So it's an anabolic steroid.
Oh, hopefully he's off now. I really hope he is because I want to see him more. That was when a lot of people were getting popped, wasn't it? Though.
Yeah.
So hopefully he's realizes he doesn't need it because I want to see him fight a lot more.
Well, he got popped and then so he got popped and then he was supposed to come back last year, but then he got popped again. But it wasn't the second pop; it was the same thing. The John Jones, the picograms with the new testing for the same thing. So supposedly it stays in your system and whatever. But I don't agree with that. But whatever.
Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully we'll see him more. That's all we could say is hope to see Sean O'Malley more because that was.
I'm telling you, man. Have I shared with you my way to fix steroids yet?
Nuh-uh.
I think I have. I'll say it again. Just let it be legal. Let everybody be on the same playing field.
Yeah, you said that because you talk about one championship.
Everybody's juiced to the gills. Everybody on the same playing field. You know, no more worrying about it. Like, oh, he was on the juice. Well, you could have been on the juice too. It's on you, man.
Like Daniel Tosh said, he said steroids.
just all the way to the gills, man. Let him take it in between rounds too. I don't care, man. Just let it happen.
Daniel Tosh. He's like, oh yeah. And he's like, baseball especially. Baseball's a strike away from being soccer. All right, let's go ahead and jump into this main card, man. This is exciting. Like I was saying, 4 out of 5 decisions, but did not feel that way. This is 5 very exciting fights, or 4 very exciting fights. Sorry, I don't want to lump in the main event with that. The weirdest main event I've ever seen in my life.
Ever.
All right, so welterweight fight, Alex Oliveira, Max Griffin. And I unfortunately haven't got a chance to go back and watch this, but from what we saw, these 2 guys are just throwing, just to throw. These 2 guys they've been around for a while, right? These are the 2 guys that you said have been around for a while, just kind of.
Yep.
So 2 vets just going at it, not really much. Neither guy is really expected to get a championship fight anytime soon, but they probably knew that they were going to go in there and throw hands, and that's exactly what they did.
That's exactly what they did. They're the opening fight, so usually Dana White puts a lot of pressure on them because he wants them to start the show off like with a bang or like exciting.
And this is a great one to do it because both guys bloody as hell.
It was a nasty cut right on Griffin, I think.
Yeah, nasty cut on Griffin. Alex Oliveira, though, if I can't, the unfortunate part is I haven't got a chance to go back and watch it, and this is when we were setting up.
Yeah, this is what we're setting up. But
so we kind of just glancing back and forth, saw some nasty blood all over the place.
But dude, it was pretty equal, man, pretty even. Total strikes 61 out of 98 for Oliveira and 62 out of 96 for Griffin.
Mm-hmm.
Significant strikes though on Oliveira's side, 40 out of 77, and Max Griffin 23 out of 50. But takedowns, Oliveira 1 out of 5 and Griffin 2 out of 3.
Yeah, they still gave the win to Alex Oliveira though.
Yeah, Alex Oliveira got the fight. Well, I think he busted him up more. You know?
Busted him up, but the big cut probably helps in that decision.
Yeah, and he kept having up against the fence in an awkward position and holding his arm with the other arm and leaving himself open to get punched with the left hand. So he just had more dominant positioning throughout the whole fight, and he kept coming forward. And he just damaged him more. So I mean, I don't think this was controversial at all. I think he won the fight. Yeah,
and then I think there were a few times I thought Max Griffin was going to be done, but able to fight through it. Unfortunately, didn't get the win.
Yeah, Max Griffin's a tough dude, man.
Yeah, it was a good fight. All right, another welterweight fight, and this one I would say it was disappointing for me because so Neil Magny and Li Jiangling after Jing Lang, I don't know. After Li had such a really good knockout in his last fight, I was expecting much more, but man, he just looked like he could not figure out Neil Magny at all.
Because Magny was so tall and he had that jab in his face, man.
Yeah, man. He couldn't get around.
Yeah, he couldn't get around it. He couldn't close the distance. I mean, dude, this is ridiculous, dude. The total strikes 123 out of 188 for Magny, which is a 65% land ratio, which is ridiculous, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to 16 total strikes out of 65 for Jiang Lang. Also takedowns, Magny had 4 out of 7, and Jiang Lang had 2 out of 3. I mean, this is ridiculous, dude.
Yeah, man.
It was just a one-sided decision, man. Basically,
Someone didn't tell Lee that the blocking the punches with your face is not the best solution.
Somebody didn't tell him that throwing an average more than what is it 4, 8, 12, 5, 5.5 or 5.25 punches per round, like landing more than 5.25 punches per round, doesn't get you a win. Somebody forgot to tell him that.
Yeah, man, it's just not a good showing for Lee at all. After such a great UFC debut, not a good showing at all.
Yeah, but
one of those ones that Dana's gonna look at him though and be like, "Hey, man, what happened?"
Yeah, but it's a good win for Magny. Dominant win. Lets him know that he's not on that level. He's above that level, and he shouldn't be fighting these guys. He should be fighting guys that are ranked or higher ranked than him, and kind of testing them.
Yeah, hopefully he does, man. He should, especially with that nasty jab. I think when you have a nasty jab like that, it always helps you out. All right, next up, lightweight. Benil Dariush taking on Jakar Close, one that we were really expecting a lot, and I wasn't expecting this because after that first round where Dariush is basically on Close's back the entire time, I was like, oh man, like he's Jakar. This is what Dariush is gonna want. He's gonna want to keep him close or stay on him like that, and then that second round starts. Jakar Close, and they start banging. They start throwing, and Dariush lands the nasty punch that just knocks him up.
This is one of those fights where a couple things, like one, usually if a guy's on your back like that, I feel like the guy on the bottom gets more tired like faster. I don't think that happened here because the way Close was doing it, like he was putting a lot of weight on the fence, and I just didn't feel like that's what was going on. So I felt like it was a wasted time for Dariush, even though he probably got the round, because he was in dominant position. But then I also think Close might have panicked a little bit and said, "Man, I can't let this guy take me down. I have to punch this guy. I have to stand." And that's kind of what led to the end of the fight. Instead of being more patient and picking him apart more, he was worried that this guy has such superior ground game than me that I can't afford to get taken down. So I gotta like put it all out there and try to knock him out or get knocked out. And then what ended up happening, it ended up getting knocked out in spectacular highlight reel fashion. I mean, it's just crazy, dude. It's like he gets punched, his face goes off, and his you could tell it's crazy because his mouth guard was falling out. But he clenched up because he was knocked out, and he squeezed it in his mouth while he was getting knocked out. Yeah,
man, it was insane. Good win for Dariush. I didn't realize he had power like that, honestly. And I'm excited to see what he does next in terms of this division. We always talk about this lightweight division. It's very packed. A lot of guys that are really have a bunch of skills in terms of they can stand, but they can also wrestle. Not afraid to go to the ground, so which is what you need to do in a division ruled by Khabib.
Yes,
you got to be able to go to the ground,
or at least
keep it standing.
Yeah, at least keep it standing,
or have knockout power, just like Dariush here. So
to equalize that.
Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and jump into this. Do you want to talk about the main event first? Or the real main event?
No, let's talk about the main event first, but the real main event should be last. Like this, what I'm saying? Like the Weili and Joanna should be the last thing we talk about.
Yeah. First of all, this is one of the most boring fights I've ever seen in my life. Coming from one of the most exciting fighters that I've ever seen in my life, with Adesanya. Adesanya has been so exciting to watch. So to see this on his first defense is very upsetting. From Yoel Romero against Yoel Romero. I don't like either guy talking because they both were saying, I thought we were gonna fight. Well, you had the chance to.
It was like that Spider-Man meme where they're pointing at each other.
Hey, yeah, man, it was just ridiculous. So you have Yoel Romero, or you have Adesanya saying he did what he had to do to win the fight. He didn't want to fight me, so blah blah. And then you have Yoel Romero saying the exact same thing, basically. Like, I thought we were gonna fight, that we were gonna come in here and fight, and it didn't happen. And instead of being like, yeah, instead of me thinking like one guy, like, you know, agreeing with one guy, I disagree with both guys. You know, why are you gonna blame the other person for not engaging you when you didn't engage either? Y'all literally stood around for what, 3 rounds?
Well, look, man, here's the deal. Here's the deal. A couple things. So I put this fight as one of the worst fights in UFC history, up there with another middleweight championship fight between Anderson Silva and Thales Leites.
I've seen that. I've seen that going around. Like, people saying like that when they asked, is this the worst championship fight? And everyone says that one was.
Yeah, dude. It was pretty bad, dude. But dude, I'm hearing all of that right now. It's right next to your mic. But the problem with this fight is a couple of things. Is both of these guys are mainly counterpunchers. And honestly, Romero has kind of morphed into a counterpuncher because earlier in his career and as he was coming up, he was more of an aggressor, trying to wrestle you down and stuff. But since he realized that he can probably wrestle anybody he wants and wrestle them down, and since he realized he had a lot of power, he wanted to set people up where they come to him and they get knocked out. And that's what's happened. I mean, that's what happened with a lot of the guys that got knocked out. When he knocked out, was it Rockhold? It was the same thing. Rockhold thought that his striking was going to be way better than Romero's. And it is. I mean, for the most part, it is. But Romero's striking is not bad where he's not going to touch you. And the thing is, if he touches you, he knocks you out. So the problem with that is that Adesanya is a counter striker. Adesanya is a complete counter striker. That's his game. That's always been his game. And he shines when somebody's coming forward or engaging him or putting him in space where he can attack and they can attack at the same time. That's why the Kelvin Gastelum and Adesanya fight is one of the best fights we've seen because Gastelum is aggressive and he comes forward and that's all he knows is to come forward and wrestle you and try to knock you out. And Adesanya was perfect for him, but it was a great fight because both of these guys are really good at what they do. But when you put two counter strikers against each other, it's basically them looking at each other saying who's going to get bored first or who's going to get frustrated first and come forward and come into the other man's wheelhouse, Yep. And that's what we saw, man. That's what we saw. We saw, I think it was a total of like 6 or 7 strikes in the first round or something like that, which is ridiculous, man. It's a championship fight, man. And for Romero, who I've heard him say, I think even on the Joe Rogan podcast, that he wants that championship so bad after he lost to Whitaker and he felt he won against Whitaker. And I mentioned to you, man, go watch those Whitaker fights because that Whitaker fight, those 2 Whitaker fights with Romero are not the same guy that fought Adesanya. Go watch those fights and see if that's the Romero you see now, And for him saying that he wanted it so bad, it's right there. It's in front of you. Attack, attack this guy. Especially to like, I understand if let's say the first 2 rounds were boring, but after the first 2 rounds and you realize what's going on with this fight and nothing's going to change unless I change something, even if you wait till the 5th round, okay, in the 5th round, that's it. Throw caution to the wind and just come forward. And that didn't happen either, And you're right, man. Like hearing from both of them, dude, like I lost a lot of respect for Adesanya in that fight. I lost a lot of respect for Romero in that fight. These guys are supposed to be fighters, and the ultimate prize is the championship. And in my book, both of those guys lost because for your name to be attached to that fight is bad. Like it can never be positive. It's always going to be bad. And now the fight that you're competing against is the Anderson Silva Thales Leites fight, which has been unanimously said and known to be the worst championship fight in UFC history. Now you're up there with that one, man. Now I got to go watch that one again and see if which one's worse, And I don't want to do that, but you're forcing me to do that.
Yeah, and you know what? All of a sudden, for Adesanya, he would have had all the momentum if he would have put up a great fight going into his next fight with Paulo Costa. Mm-hmm. I think Paulo Costa has all the momentum right now. He's going to have all the fire underneath him because he's going to be like, he's even said multiple times that, like, that's not how the fight with me is going to be.
Well, yeah, but I would caution you too, Alec, because Paulo Costa is a guy that comes forward, you know?
Yeah.
So that's going to play right into Adesanya's hands. That's what he wants.
In my eyes, honestly, Adesanya needs everything. He has to do a lot to make up for what this did. This did a lot of damage. So if he knocked out Paulo Costa, great. Yeah. I want that to happen because I like Adesanya. I like watching. I don't even like Paulo Costa that much.
Yeah.
But all you did was you made Paulo Costa the sympathetic figure going into his next fight. Like,
yeah. Well, that's true. I mean, from that standpoint, I get what you're saying, but from a fight standpoint, Adesanya's perfect guy is Paulo Costa. He just wants to come forward and throw a big right hand, and that's it. And Adesanya, if he does what he's capable of doing, which I know he will, he's gonna pick him apart, and he's probably gonna knock him out.
Yeah.
From a technical standpoint, but you're right. From a people wanting Costa to win, that's probably what's gonna happen because Adesanya gave this bull crap of a fight. Mm-hmm. One thing I will say though is I don't even know if we're gonna get that fight because Paulo Costa looks like he ate Paulo Costa. The dude looks huge, man. Yeah. That dude looks like 230 pounds, man. I don't know how he's gonna make 185.
No.
It looked like he became a bigger version of Romero. He looked like he didn't have a neck, man.
Man, if Till can get past Whitaker, all of a sudden we're gonna be talking about Till getting a middleweight championship fight. Watch. Wouldn't it be crazy?
That would be crazy, man. Because that guy fell so fast in the. But again, that might be to me another version of you were killing your body at 170. You know, when you probably should have been at 185 because your body, you were jacked, killing yourself. Yeah, dude, he looks big, dude.
So I'm excited. I'm actually really excited for that Darren Till fight. He's become one of my favorite fighters to watch. Just in terms of like interviews and then him in the octagon, he's actually really exciting. And then Whitaker's always going to be a good guy in my eyes.
But for Till, yeah, dude, Whitaker's always going to be good. But for Till, I think that, like, for me, what I've been saying is he learned how to lose. He lost twice. He realized he's not invincible, and he has to grind and work, and it looks like he's been doing it, man. So, from the thoughts I had of him before, where I was like, man, this guy, he thinks he's a lot better than what he really is because he's been spoon-fed opponents.
Got humbled.
To humble, to now, okay, he looked at it. He's like, 170 is not for me. I'm going to go up to 185. I'm going to grind. And that's what he's been doing. And on top of that, he changed his cockiness.
Mm-hmm. So
it is cocky. Yeah, it is cocky, but it's also confident now because he's humble and he's fighting like real dudes. You know what I mean? And he's getting wins, on him. So,
and he said it's more because he's not looking to like fight fighters that he can win against. He said in Ariel Helwani's interview, he said like now I just want to have a good fight, like fight somebody. If he's like if I win, if I lose, who cares? I just want to go in there and just put on a good fight. And I think when you do that, when you take out like I just got to win, I have to keep a perfect record, and you take that out of your mind, and you're just like, I just want to go in there and just have a good time. When you really enjoy doing something, like it really makes it easier to do it. And I'm excited for that fight a lot. I don't know how we got on to Darren Till and Robert Whitaker, but maybe I guess because this fight was so boring, I'd rather talk about other upcoming fights.
Yeah, man. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I agree with that Adesanya Romero fight is something that I want to forget about because it just sucked. And I think too, like, okay, I'll give you an example. The Anderson Silva Leites fight, I didn't have any expectations for that fight. Like, I felt like Anderson was gonna bulldoze him and it was gonna be over. And instead, because Leites wouldn't engage, it was so boring. And Anderson wasn't wanting to chase him. Like, I'm not gonna chase you,
Yeah.
And so that was that card in a nutshell, that fight in a nutshell. This one, there was so much potential, man. There was so much potential for a great fight because these are two great fighters. The Leites fight in Anderson this is all they had at the time. There was nobody else that could, compete or could he cleaned out the division. So it's basically who we're going to throw at him, And so this one is not that. This one is Romero. He's a top fighter. Yes, there's he just beat Gastelum. There's really nobody to fight right now. But it's not like you're throwing a tomato can at Adesanya. You're throwing Romero, who challenged for the championship twice against Whitaker, who's had great fights. He's knocked out previous champions. Like, it's a good fight. And instead, we one of the worst fights in history. And I think that makes it part of that it makes it one of the worst fights in history because everyone had great expectations for this fight, and we ended up getting a dud.
Yeah, and it's also not comparable to Anderson Silva because, like you said, Anderson Silva cleaned out the division, whereas Adesanya hasn't cleaned out this division yet.
No,
it's not even close. It was just more of the fact that we just needed it to get more rounded out. The picture. Paulo Costa got popped, so we needed to wait. I think we should have waited for.
Oh no, Paulo Costa hurt his shoulder.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I guess I'm just. I'm waiting for.
Not everybody gets popped, man. Oh, because you saw him.
I'm waiting for the day to get he gets popped. I'm pretty. That's all.
You don't look like that without juice, is what you're saying.
Exactly. You don't look like that. Make 185.
I'm gonna make a quick either I don't know, we should do a drinking game or an over under on how many times Joe Rogan says that Paulo Costa has the body of a Greek statue because he's gonna
the end of the fight, dude. We're not gonna make it. We're gonna pass out. Yeah, man. I just that he hasn't cleaned out. I would have liked the division to get more rounded out or wait till Paulo Costa was ready because, like. This, especially, I guess now that hindsight's 2020, but I was one of the ones saying that I don't like the idea of giving a fighter a championship fight off of 2 losses.
I agree. It set a precedent, and now we're getting 2 of them, right? We got that one, and now we're gonna get Jose Aldo, and
which we all know that Jose won, but technically he's still a loss. Like that's still.
Yeah, I mean,
a fighter could bring saying,
you gave
a loss. You gave this fighter a championship fight after a loss.
I agree with that sentiment. So there's 2 things going for the Jose Aldo versus Triple C that's different from Romero getting the title shot. Is one, like you said, I think he did win that fight. I told you, I thought he won that fight whenever it happened. And 2, it's Jose Aldo. It's a former champ. It's a former, I think one of the greatest 145 pounders going down to 135. So it's not like he has basically more accolades than Romero has going into the fight with Adesanya.
Yeah.
So. He has.
Okay.
I just say he just has more of a leg to stand on than a Romero coming off of 2 losses does.
Yeah. And then also Dana basically saying that this was Romero's last opportunity, and he wasted it. And it's very sad to hear because, I like Romero. I don't dislike Romero. He's a very fun interview. But now we're probably just going to get him as a gatekeeper. I'm not excited for that.
Well, did you hear what the guy said? His manager said about him being a gatekeeper?
Nuh-uh.
He's like, Romero's fine being a gatekeeper. He'll be a gatekeeper, and then he's going to get 3 knockouts in a row, and he's going to get a title shot.
I don't know if he's going to get a title. Not after this. Not about Adesanya's champion.
If he gets 3, what the hell is this?
That has to happen, and that means he's going to have to fight maybe like one more time this year, and then 2 times next year, and then you get another one in the 2 years later.
He just fought. What was it last week, right? So March 7th.
Yeah,
he didn't do it. He didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
So he can probably fight. I would say in May, end of May. So he fights in May, and then he could probably fight September, October. So that's 2 fights this year if he gets 2 wins. And then I don't know, somebody gets hurt and he steps in off of 2 crazy knockouts, and now he's at the top again.
I'm pulling up the middleweight division. All right, let's see who he can be a gatekeeper for.
Jared Cannonier.
Well, Cannonier's already taken him in the rankings. Cannonier is now 3, Romero's 4. So off of that crap performance, Romero lost the spot.
1 spot, dude.
He lost a spot. He lost a spot. I said a spot, I didn't say he lost a spot. He lost a spot. All right, so you have Anderson Silva. You have Antonio Carlos. I'm joking about Anderson Silva. Antonio Carlos Jr. Jan Heinisch.
Jan Heinisch is about to fight, though.
Yeah, he is. Amari Akhmedov. Brad Tavares. Uriah Hall. Edmund Shabazian. And Derek.
He could fight Edmund. He could fight your boy Edmund Shabazian.
He's about to fight Brunson.
Brunson. Oh, you're saying he's about to fight Brunson?
Yeah, they're about to fight.
Yeah, I know.
In a few weeks, so I'm excited for that fight too. So I mean, maybe the winner of that fight.
I agree, the winner of that fight. But no, not really, because if Brunson wins, I don't really care to see him. He's already.
Gastelum hasn't been scheduled lately, has he?
No, he hasn't been scheduled, and his last fight was against Till, and that loss that he got, that he looked like crap, and he didn't look like his normal self. I don't know, man. I'm starting to think that
Romero
fight,
Gastelum.
dude. Do you want that fight? Do you want that fight?
Maybe. You say Romero is a counter puncher, and Gastelum's gonna go forward.
I know we haven't seen that fight. I mean, I would love to see that fight, but I just feel like that's a plus for Romero when he shouldn't get that fight. You know what I mean?
All right, yeah, you're right. Maybe he should get like a Uriah Hall.
Yeah, he needs to get a guy that's like below his level as a
shoe face.
Yeah, like a shoe face dude that's gonna give him problems, and basically Dana White saying, "See, keep messing up, and you're gonna keep getting these stupid fights."
All right, so my question now, I have a question. I'm gonna challenge Dana White on this. So
right.
These two guys are counter strikers. Like, we know Dana White knows fighting. He knows fighting.
Mm-hmm.
These two guys are counter strikers. That this is a chance of this happening. There was a chance of this happening. Even though I don't think he might have believed that he believed maybe that Adesanya would not want that to happen, or that Romero would be maybe a little more hungrier. Fine, I'll give him that benefit of the doubt. But then you have these two fighters that we're about to talk about next, knowing that these two fighters like to strike. These are the fights that Dana White says he loves to watch, and you don't put this as your top build fight.
No, I mean I agree with him, and here's why. The casual MMA fan doesn't know that Adesanya and Romero are both counter strikers. They don't. They just see highlight reel knockouts and all this stuff. And again, I hate to say it, but this is the world we live in. But they would probably lose pay-per-view buys if they have a women's fight at the top versus Adesanya Romero. From our standpoint, that know that it's counter versus counter. There's probably a better possibility that it's going to be a dud of a fight versus a knockout, and I'm sure they know that. But they got to put it at the top. Not the casual fan doesn't know that. They're going to put all these highlights of them knocking people out, and it's going to create all this buzz. Versus having a women's fight up there that we knew was guaranteed sparks because of both of their fighting styles.
Not sparks, fireworks.
Well, yeah, fireworks. I mean,
fireworks.
Yeah, those fireworks, I guess.
I get you. Guess.
Well, it's because there wasn't a lot of knockdowns.
It wasn't knockdowns, but it was high level striking.
They both didn't have power to knock each other out, basically, because, dude. Well, I mean, are we gonna go into it right now, or you want to wait?
Let's jump into it.
All right, let's jump into the best fight of the night. Tied for probably best fight of the year. Probably wins out in my book because it's for a championship over Paul Felder and Dan Hooker.
Mm-hmm.
Joanna versus Weili. Two strikers coming forward, wanting to win the belt, wanting to say they're the best in the world. And, dude, I'm telling you, Joanna was catching Weili with clean shots, man. And that's what I'm saying. Like, they just didn't have the power to knock each other out, man. And Weili was doing the same to Joanna. Like, she would catch her. And it was just Weili did have more power, though. You could tell Weili had more power, but it still wasn't enough to knock Joanna out. Or maybe she just wasn't catching. Maybe she just wasn't catching her as clean as. And that's the other thing. She was probably catching on the top of her forehead versus on her chin. But man, this was a fight, man. This was why I love mixed martial arts and why I'm one of fewer than they should be. You included too, that loves women's MMA as well. They're great, man. Yeah. They have high skills. They're highly technical, and they put on great shows. And they leave caution to the wind, man. Like, both of these girls wanted to win. They wanted a championship belt. Joanna wanted to get it back around her waist. Weili wanted to prove that she wasn't a fluke and fighting Andrade and beating her so quickly. And they delivered, man. They delivered. This thing was back and forth. Who did you have the fight for?
I had it for Weili.
You had it for Weili? I think I had it for Joanna.
I mean, it's close, man. Like, I have the strikes pulled up right here. Are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead. Tell me the strikes.
So total strikes. Out of 413 total strikes, 170 for Weili. Whereas you have Joanna. So 300 out of 370 strikes, you have 196 landed. So a better
20 more, right?
But a better percentage for Joanna. And then you have out of 488 significant strikes, you have 165 for Weili, and then out of 360 significant strikes, you have 186 out of 360. So for Joanna, so once again, a better a better percentage,
and overall,
and then 0 takedown attempts for Joanna, 8 takedown attempts for Weili, 1.
you're breaking up. You there?
Hello, can you hear me? Sorry, my son pressed the power button.
Nice.
But yeah, so close, but more were landed for Joanna. I think in terms of for me, I just came down to, I guess, the power and what the damage that Weili was doing. But with Joanna, you also have to take into account that she was throwing a lot more in terms of where she was throwing it. So Joanna had 96 head strikes, 32 body strikes, and 58 leg strikes, and basically the same thing for both for Weili, but it was only 11 body strikes and 32 body strikes for Joanna.
How many takedowns did you say? Because that's where you broke up. How many takedowns?
It was only 1.
So she had 1 out of 8, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just can't remember. I don't think it did much.
No, it didn't. It didn't. That's what I'm saying. Like, she kept trying to take her down, and Joanna wouldn't let her. So to me, that's also octagon control. So I felt that overall the fight was Joanna's fight, just because she landed more, she was more accurate, she kept the fight where she wanted it, which was on the feet. And I think the thing that did her in was the damage on her face. Looked bad for the judges, and that's why she lost the fight. Mm-hmm. But if she hadn't had that huge hematoma on her forehead, I think she would have probably won the fight, because in my opinion, she just did more.
So so what we were talking about earlier, with in terms of maybe them needing to judge and damage more, they judge damage more.
In that sense, yeah. I mean, but both of them ended up in the hospital, and there's a picture of both of them in the hospital, sitting next to each other in what's it called, in their hospital beds. Mm-hmm. So both of them were in the hospital, but yeah, I mean, it looked more to Joanna. It's just Weili at the end. Weili did get a cut, right? I think Weili got a cut one time.
She had a cut and her eyes were swollen.
Yeah, but other than that, I mean, she didn't look. I mean, I guess you could. I think they had a before and after picture, and you can tell if you look at the before and after. But just seeing her like that, you can tell she's been in a fight, but not that she's been like overly beat up like Joanna did. Joanna's forehead was ridiculous. She had a lot of bruising around her eyes and nose and stuff like that. And
yeah,
I think
she's already healed. And Joanna, and Weili's already healed up. She posted a picture on Instagram. She's healed up. She's good to go. But Joanna is still not showing her forehead.
Yeah, dude, she had that picture with sunglasses and then a beanie or something over her head.
Yeah, so I'm assuming the damage is a little bit lasting. Mm-hmm. But once again, honestly, I don't even want to really get into the results, because like it could go either way. It's very much a
I agree.
call.
I agree.
I was very about the fact that these two women, the performance these two women put on. I was expecting a good fight. I wasn't expecting this, I guess. I really wasn't. I was expecting more of a. I guess I wasn't expecting the throw as much as they were, and not really. I was expecting more clinch work, a little bit more clinch work, especially from Joanna, because she's so good there. Mm-hmm. But Joanna just seemed content with fighting.
Well, here's a couple of things. In my opinion, from a technical standpoint, coming into the fight, I thought Joanna was gonna outclass Weili. But I mean, she did for the most part on her feet, but Weili was still getting her licks in, and that's what was eye-opening to me. That I feel like Joanna is kind of on her way down. Her defense has suffered so much from early in her career, mm-hmm. that Weili, and I don't know if you'll fight me on this or not, but I don't think Weili's striking is on the same level as Joanna's. So that's why I thought that Joanna was going to kind of not walk through her, but kind of beat her on points and just beat her up and be able to, maintain distance. But Weili was able to, basically kind of make it an even fight with her striking. Mm-hmm. So I just think that Joanna's kind of on the decline, and her defensive skills have diminished. And that's why this fight was as close as it was, because I don't know, man. I don't think Weili's striking is anywhere close to where Joanna's is at, or has been at, or is at. But it's just her defense just failed her in this fight.
I think for me, I think Weili has the speed advantage. I think, and she might have the speed advantage for whoever she fights, unless she fights Rose, because she's extremely fast. She throws, I think, for every punch Joanna threw, it always seemed like Weili was going to throw at least like 3, even if they landed or not. I think she needs to work on her accuracy, and we've seen that she can throw with accuracy, especially in that fight against Andrade. But we know Andrade isn't the best.
She sucks as a striker, dude.
Yeah,
that's what
I'm saying. Like when you see like where she landed, I think Weili just needs to work on that accuracy. She needs to work on, and maybe not throwing as many if you're not going to land as many. Like if you're throwing 3 but you're only landing 1, that's not going to help you in terms of scoring. If she does, like you said, if she doesn't do the damage that she does, she might not win this fight because of what she couldn't land. However, she's 30 years old. I think she's on the she's on the rise, and like I said, maybe Joanna, because of the war she's had in the past, she's on the decline, which really sucks because I would love to see this fight one more time.
Yeah, I mean, I like to see it and see like the second fight. I want to see what adjustments they make.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Weili would keep the fight standing or as long as she did. I think she'll try to take her down. But what this tells me is I feel like Rose would beat Weili. I think she would do what I thought Joanna was going to do to her.
We'll see maybe we'll see what happens, because we're going to be getting Rose versus Andrade very soon, so she can try and get that win back, which is very fortunate. Most people don't get their loss back right away.
That's true, especially if the other one is a champion. So I think that's what helped her that Andrade lost championship.
So, Weili, yeah. So very interesting, because I have my eyes on that. I still ride or die Weili all day long, but I think she needs to go back and maybe go back to the drawing board and just see what's going on. Because that fight against, and obviously the level of competition has risen, but I think this is a good test for her.
Yeah, this was a really good test.
This showed that she could hang with the best in the division.
Yeah,
she just needs to improve a little bit more, either land more or be more powerful,
and take less damage. She needs to take less damage too. So for me, this cemented her as a champion and as a legitimate force in that division. Because again, I felt that she hadn't had a lot of, big fights or big names. She just was being pushed because she's from the region where the UFC wants to have a champion from, and they gave her those fights. And I didn't think Andrade was a real champion. So by beating Joanna, now I feel she's a real champion.
I agree. She's definitely champion, but man, I just want to see it again. Like I want to see this fight one more time. I would love if there was like a 3-way dance for all 3, where it's just Rose and Joanna and Weili just all going at it over and over again.
We could do that, man. We could set that up. Make it a one night round robin tournament.
That'd be fun. Because let me look at the strawweight division real quick before we jump onto the upcoming fight. Just to see where everybody else is at. Strawweight. So you have Rose, Tatiana Suarez. I don't know what she's done lately. She's number 3 actually. Joanna's at 4. Nina Ansaraf at 5. Gadella at 6, who I know she's probably waiting for a fight. Esparza, Watterson, Marina Rodriguez, Cavillo, Yan Xiaonan, another Chinese fighter. Felice Herring, Tisha Torres, Alessa Grasso no longer in the division, and look at that, Angela Hill finally in the rankings.
Angela Hill back in the rankings.
Number 15. She mentioned on Joe Rogan that she has a hard time breaking those rankings, but she's finally there. She says that she'll like break them. She'll break 15, and then like somebody will have a good fight, and she'll just drop out, like to no fault. I'm actually after her interview with Joe Rogan, I'm a huge Angela Hill fan, and I want to see more of. I hope she can get to that top tier.
I don't know. Are you gonna be off of work? Or are you gonna be working from home or no?
I'm gonna be at work.
Oh, okay.
My job doesn't take off for anything apparently.
I thought if you're gonna have some time, man, go back and watch the Ultimate Fighters, man, because you'll see a lot more personalities on Ultimate Fighter. She was on Ultimate Fighter, dude,
Okay.
and I've been following since then. And yeah, dude, she's really good, dude. She's really good.
All right. What was I gonna? I think that was it. For this card. I said Alexa Grasso, but we know she's gonna be off of these rankings. She should be off of these rankings pretty soon because she'll be in the flyweight division now.
Yep.
Her first fight's gonna be a tough one though. Wait, who's she fighting?
Who's she fighting?
Oh wait, no, hold on. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. Let me see. I already told you I'm going to her fight.
Yeah, you did it. It's in Austin, right?
In Austin, Texas. I'll be there
When is it?
in June. I think like June 28th.
I may make it, man. I'm gonna be traveling around that time anyway, so I might get out there.
Hold on, let me look up her next fight. Because as I said, I think she is the most adorable fighter in the UFC.
I've never been to the a fight card in Austin. I've only been to a fight card in Dallas. I went to go see a Strike Force fight card with Megareem on it and DC. DC was on the undercard.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't been to Austin or San Antonio to watch a fight, but I definitely want to do that because I want to go to all the venues where they have UFC fights in Texas. I think that'd be cool.
She's been fighting Ji-Yeon Kim.
Ooh.
Like I said, I think that is gonna be a tough fight.
Yeah.
June 27th is the fight. She's UFC on ESPN 10. So she's gonna be whoa, hold on. That's not true. That's true, but what they're saying here is that's gonna be the main event. I doubt that's true.
No, I don't think she's gonna be the main event.
It just I get that's probably the only fight that's scheduled for it. So like Google has it main event, but if I go to that fight card, it's probably gonna be the only fight on there.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah, but that'd be cool to go to that fight card, just because I want to see her. I really do. I'm in love with her. Yeah, it's the only fight on that fight card.
All
right. You want to go? You want to not break down, but you want to kind of just preview today's fight?
Yeah, let's go just top down on a couple fights. Like we mentioned, this fight card has
a lot
of good fights, man. So if you are not watching it, watch it. There's only sports on there.
And if you when you watch it next week, check back next Friday, and we'll be talking about this stacked card, and hopefully it lived up to the hype.
Yeah, and then we'll be previewing hopefully a big fight card from London. Hopefully,
yeah, we'll see what happens with that. All right, so first off,
if not, we're turning it into the Take Two movie show, and we'll just talk movies.
Yeah, probably. All right, so we have so we know these Brazil cards. These Brazil cards are normally stacked from top to bottom because there's so many great Brazilian fighters, and Dana likes to showcase these fighters. I think last year's show in Brazil didn't turn out great for Brazilians.
No, I think they all lost, right?
They all lost except for one. I think there might have been one that didn't lose, but it was very bad for Brazilian fighters. But maybe it'll be different for tonight, especially because one fight has two Brazilians. So at least one Brazilian is going to be.
So at least one Brazilian is going to win that one.
Yeah. So we have the main event, lightweight division. Kevin Lee taking on Charles Oliveira. Oliveira number 13, Kevin Lee number 8. But in my eyes, even if Kevin Lee wins, it doesn't work. It doesn't help your rankings because you didn't make weight.
Yeah, and it's the 5th time he hasn't made weight at 155. So
after such a great knockout against Gillespie, knocked him into another parallel universe. Haven't heard from Gillespie lately.
So let me ask you, how does he make weight for that fight and not for this one?
That's the question, right?
That's called unprofessionalism. That's what I'll say. Not a professional. Doesn't make weight, but also, like I told you, he's a tweener. You know, he's too big for 155 and too small for 170. So he needs to make his own division at 165. And
165 or 160.
No, it has to be 5 because it's like 135, 145, 155, 165. All right,
165.
Yeah.
So you would just adjust the 175.
Yeah.
The 170 division, move it to 170.
That would fix it. You know, That would fix it. You adjust 170, 175, and 165.
You heard it here, Dana.
Yeah, I mean, Dana, if you need help figuring out this extra weight divisions,
I feel like he's making it harder than it needs to be.
Well, dude, I'm just telling you, dude, he doesn't want to do it because the champions that welterweight in the past, like George St. Pierre, they won't be champions anymore. Like they won't be the best because it was at 170. Remember, that was at 170, not 175 or whatever. But in fairness, like you're a businessman, you add a weight division, more fights, more money. Come on, man.
Yeah, man. All of a sudden, you have those guys that are tough that have a hard time making 170 because it's just a lot of weight. And then you have the guys, or they're not able to do it. And then you have the guys that have a hard time making 155. All of a sudden, you got that one division that these guys are going to start meeting. Like you said, a Connor,
Masvidal.
All of a sudden, that makes sense.
Those guys that are undersized at 170, especially with these bigger wrestlers at 170, like Usman and Covington, you don't got to worry about them being that much heavier than you because you can fight at 165, and it's more of a level playing field.
Yeah. All right. So, who are you gonna go for in this fight, though? That's the question.
Well, I want Oliveira to win. I mean, I told you I didn't like Lee before this. He kind of got a little bit of standing back by beating MAGA guy Gillespie before me. But after not making weight, and Oliveira, like I mentioned before, he used to train out of Houston. I think he still does. He might still train in Houston. So I like Oliveira. I hope he wins. A lot of people are picking Lee, but I'm gonna pick Oliveira.
So you thinking another submission victory for Oliveira?
Yes, I'm hoping that he plays his cards right and he tires him out. It's a 5-round fight. He's gonna be tired because he couldn't make weight and he was having to cut so much weight. And then towards the end, you just choke him out.
All right. Next up, co-main event. I'm gonna go with Oliveira as well. I think Kevin Lee has a hard time with guys on the ground, and I think Oliveira will be able to get him there. All right. Next up, we have Damian Maia versus Gilbert Burns at welterweight, and Oliveira is gonna one up his record. I think Damian Maia is gonna stay right there with him though. In terms of submission victories, I'm going to have Damian Maia. I don't care for this fight at all because I don't like Gilbert Burns. I have not like a Gilbert Burns fight that I like.
I like Damian Maia.
So, I like Damian Maia.
So I'm picking Damian Maia on this fight. I just like jiu-jitsu. He's probably the best jiu-jitsu fighter in the UFC with the best. I don't know if he has the best accolades. I think he might have the best accolades, but either way, he's the best jiu-jitsu guy in the UFC right now.
Yeah.
Well, him and now Ice Cream Kron.
All right, I'm gonna go with Maia as well. Don't really care. Like I said, I don't care for Burns at all. Lightweight, Renato Moicano taking on Damir Hadzovic. I don't know much about either of these guys, honestly.
You do know about Moicano, dude. That's the one that Jose Aldo beat to set up his fight against Marlon Moraes, and he, I think it was him. Even though it was at 145, I think, or 135. I don't know. Either way, he starched him. Moicano is a prospect, and he's a weird prospect where he's the guy that they say that he's a monster in the gym. He's like a monster in the gym. He beats everybody up, but he has trouble translating it to the actual fight. And now because of that, I'm starting to think he might be a little chinny. Like he has a weak chin. But he has all the tools, man. He's super fast. He's super long. He has Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, a legit one. It's just he alternates wins and losses, and sometimes he wins big fights, and sometimes he loses big fights.
All right, so you're gonna go. Who are you going for?
I'm going Moicano on this one.
Okay, taking the hometown boy.
Yeah.
All right. I'll probably go with you on that one, just because I don't, like I said, I don't know much about. At least I do know Hanoito. I do know Hanato. I don't know Damir though. So.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Johnny Walker taking on Nikita Krylov, light heavyweight. Johnny Walker needs a big win, and I think I'm going to pick him in this fight. I think he got humbled.
Well, he's lost before, man. I don't know.
I know, but he had all this.
The hype train got derailed.
I think the hype train got derailed, and I think he learned his lesson.
Yeah, but Krylov is he's just your basic generic striker guy. So I don't know if that's gonna play into the hands of Walker or not. Like he doesn't take a lot of risks. And he wasn't up and comer at one point until he took a couple bad losses. I don't know. This one's weird because I just don't know how Walker's gonna react. Is he gonna like be more cautious now?
Fight a smart fight.
Yeah, is he, or is he just gonna continue to do the wild and crazy stuff and get the hype back?
I'm gonna lean towards he does. So I'm gonna go with Johnny, but.
All right, I'll go against you on this one. I'll go Krylov.
Okay. all right, last fight in this main card. I don't know anything about either of these guys.
I do.
Francisco
The ageless,
and
the
John.
ageless wonder Trinaldo, who's old as time, old as dirt. But he's still a good fighter. He has a lot of power, and he's crazy. He's always coming forward against a really, really, really sharp and accurate kickboxer named McDessie. McDessie's also that guy. He's a tweener, so he's kind of undersized, and Trinaldo's huge for the division.
Mm-hmm.
So if McDessie can keep him at bay, I think McDessie wins on just striking alone. So I'll pick McDessie, but it's kind of a coin toss on this one.
Okay. I'm also going to say, Francisco, when the whole point of your nickname is for it to be memorable, not unsayable.
What is his nickname?
Masa Randuba.
Oh, it's probably Brazilian or something.
I don't care.
Let me see what it means. It's a plant.
Oh, that makes sense. All right, man. Well, this is gonna be. I think I'm excited for this card. It's gonna be a good card. It starts in a couple hours.
Yeah, man. It starts in 1 hour, right? Or 2?
I think it starts at 3. No, it starts at 2. I think it's 3 Eastern.
Yeah, it's 2 our time.
So
yeah, man. So in about 40 minutes, man, we'll be good to go. Dude, Trinaldo's 41 years old.
Jesus Christ. Well, good on him. So yeah, 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
It starts, and it starts with Veronica Macedo and Bia Malecki. So, women's fight right out the gate. Bantamweight. We don't see a lot of bantamweight fights lately.
Yep.
So interesting to see. Also, this was a Shoeface was supposed to be on this card, but he got canceled. I don't know why though.
He's fighting again. He's fighting somebody else.
He was supposed to fight Mahmoud Muradov. Maybe they moved the fight.
He's fighting Uriah Hall, I think. No. He's fighting. Hold on. Damn it! I keep getting this stupid stuff. I don't know, dude. I know he's fighting somebody else.
Oh, sorry. Yawn real quick. All right, guys. Well, that was the show. Broke down a big card. Broke down what was really going on, what's been going on in the world, and then gave a little preview for today's card. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys make sure to watch today's card since there's nothing else to watch.
There's nothing else to watch, so you better be on it and supporting the only sport that's gutting it out for our entertainment right now.
Absolutely. They do not care. And there's no excuse because they're both on ESPN. The prelims and the main card. So get there, go watch it. It's free. It's going to be a really good card. I think this is actually a really good fight card to have on ESPN.
Yep. Well, hold on. It's not on ESPN no more. It's on ESPN Plus because they moved it up.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
They haven't changed it on here.
Yeah, that was one of the things because they can't mess around with ESPN's programming like that, man.
I feel like their Saturday programming sucks anyways.
I agree. I would rather watch this.
I feel like ESPN needs to help with their weekend programming because they have such good weekday shows that their weekend shows are just kind of blah.
Yeah, like how do they have like all these great weekday shows during the day when people are at work?
Yeah,
and they don't have good ones for the weekend, man. And
then even then, like it's during the day at night, it's SportsCenter all day, all night long. SportsCenter. I don't even watch SportsCenter over and over again. At least re-air what you showed today.
It's crazy, man. They got some troubles, man. That's why they're messing around with the ESPN Plus and stuff.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, we're gonna go ahead and head out. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll be back next week. Next Friday is what we're aiming for in the morning. Hopefully, we have a card to talk about.
Yeah, man. And real quick, follow us on Twitter at Armbars Suplex. Follow our Patreon at Armbars Suplex if you guys want to support us so we can have better equipment. That's what our main goal is right now, is to get better equipment for you guys. And our Patreon is Patreon/Armbar Suplex.
Yeah, Armbars and Suplexes.
Armbars and Suplexes.
Yeah.
We'll have it in the description.
Absolutely, it's already there. Make sure you guys go check that out and join up and hit us up on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at AlecMiller0423. It's right there on the screen.
You can catch me at The Real Jesus, and that's spelled JEEZUS.
All right, man. So we'll see you guys next week.
AMF.